Last time on The Ables, after doing thousands of dollars worth of property damage and injuring several of his friends and an adult, our main character suffers really no punishment. But Finch returns and kills our main character's mom. After pulling a Darth Vader, join me on the dark side. After quote-unquote grieving for his mother, our main character decides it would be a great idea to go to New York City and fight crime, a plan which only works out because the plot says so. We're back. It's chapter 27. I have Indian food, and it's time for the final Super Sim, which we 100% needed. I'm definitely going to stain this book with tikka masala, but I don't care. Our main character and his friends are all gathering at his house because he has to watch Patrick. But when has he ever cared about his little brother before now? You know, you can make a whole book. Okay, say at the beginning of the book they find out they're banned from the Super Sim. They try to appeal it in a more interesting and expeditious way, and they're denied. They decide to begin doing superhero stuff on the sly, teleporting to Central Park and catching purse snatchers. That could be a whole story. They could encounter the supervillain somewhere in that, and it could be a whole thing of them not trying to let their parents know. The kid has to work around school and his little brother. That, I think, could have been a solid basis for a story. They could see firsthand, you know, when at the beginning of the book they see a TV program and they're like, a superhero has been revealed. Like, maybe they were almost the superhero who was revealed, but they got away just in time and like somebody else was revealed. Or they think it's about them on the news, but then it's not about them. And phew, that was close. I think this could have been a much more solid book. Instead of just this whole pacing of wait around for ages for a Super Sim. The Super Sim goes off in like a chapter. And then we wait around for ages for the next one. Chapter. And in between, we're getting the most tepid interactions, aside from the one where he turned into giant fire Godzilla, with the main villain of the story. I really think that you made your plot about the wrong thing here, Jeremy Scott. And of course, now that he's added this last-minute third act thing that the kids are going out to Central Park and dealing with, like, petty crimes, the kids can be, like, self-righteous and be like, well, we're solving real crimes and dealing with real criminals now, and all of our classmates are just doing this Super Sim. So, really, even though we can't play, we're better than them.
Thanks, I hate it.
They can hear the Super Sim happening from their house. What did the little brother think before he was told that they have superpowers? What do kids downtown think when there's a superhero LARPing going on right outside their door? And now, of course, they're getting concerned because the noises don't sound right, the screams sound too real, because of course, our author almost forgot that his main character can't see without help. The main character and Bentley are like signaling back and forth like, we think something's wrong, let's go talk about it in the kitchen. And they went to go do that, and then the last minute he says, but Henry had seen us slink off, and had gotten curious. It was just as well. I wanted to be able to see things for myself anyway. Convenient. You almost forgot that your main character couldn't see, didn't you, Jeremy Scott? Didn't you? Be honest with me. Also, they didn't take down any of their cameras from the last Super Sim. They just left them there. And of course, as soon as they look, they realize all those explosions and screaming weren't part of the Super Sim. It was all a real attack, and the town is in ruins. The kids are heroically saving the adults. Oh my goodness. Our characters are weirdly disappointed. Like, they see a bunch of kids defending some adults from fireballs. And our heroes are like, oh man, I bet you it's that same guy who was throwing fireballs at us. And then they get to a different camera and it's not the same guy. And they're like, darn. When that guy was just a guy. He was just like a regular person who was participating in this LARPing. He wasn't an actual villain. Why are you hoping that he was an actual villain? Surprise, surprise. The attackers are dressed like Finch's cultists. Nice of the bad guys to all dress the same. This line is so stupid. Finch has just killed a bunch of people. And the main character says, here, he was finally the killer I'd always feared him to be. He killed your mom, dude. He lit a fucking cornfield on fire and tried to kill you. So I feel like you already knew that he was potentially dangerous. The kids are all like, yep, he's definitely here to take the city of Freepoint. They don't say take over, they say take. Why does Finch need this city, and why does he need to kill everyone to get it? Like, he's so far been able to do whatever the fuck he wants.
really without having to deal with anyone, except for like a couple of tweens that he didn't actually have to deal with. He chose to deal with them. And then the characters are like, oh no, you're in danger, Philip! Even though, like, wouldn't our bad guy have figured out where Philip lives? In your superhero city, it might be a good idea to have, like, some bunkers or something in case a supervillain attacked, because this is a lot of superheroes all in one place. But the dad calls, and he's just like, run, children! Run for the hills or something, I don't know. Granted, they do have a teleporter with them, but, like, not every superhero is going to have access to a teleporter all the time to be like, get my family out. So it would be a good idea to have a place to hide. And they pop away to Central Park, which I'm actually kind of surprised they did. Obviously, they're probably going to try to get back into the fight, but I'm surprised they left in the first place. Oh, apparently Finch is now leading people away in chains. It sure was nice of Bentley to leave cameras all over the city and never take any of them down after their last Super Sim. He just leaves expensive cameras surveilling the city. And our character goes through the world's shortest emotional breakdown. I'll read it for you. A sickening feeling came over me, a moment of despair. I nearly had a panic attack, I think, before something unlikely came along and saved me. Anger. Just as I was about to lose hope completely upon the sight of my captured father, anger swooped up from the pit of my stomach and brought things sharply back into focus for me. And that was all it took. Wow, that was a real emotional roller coaster we went on with that character. I'm so glad we were there to experience all of those raw, real emotions with him in, like, 4 sentences. And immediately, this 12-year-old jumps to, we have to kill Finch. He's like, no, murder is the only option. And of course, very conveniently, the one camera angle that they don't have, and they've had multiple camera angles on the scene everywhere else, but they don't have a camera on Finch right now, because reasons. Conveniently, our main character can also just feel, presumably with the Force, that Finch isn't going to send the prisoners anywhere else. He's not going to send them away. He's going to keep them in Free Point while he destroys the city for reasons I'm not completely clear on. So they decided the way that they're going to find out where his dad is being held is he still has one of those little tracker things in his pocket, you know, to summon help. And so they're going to, rather than try to summon help from some sort of larger superhero organization, which I presume there is, Free Point can't be the only place that superheroes live, right? Like, send in the superhero FBI. But anyway, he's like, we can reverse engineer it and get it to tell us where your dad is. Of course. Obviously.
Of course!
Bentley decides that what he's going to do is use the little puck thing to transmit Morse code, because apparently it can beep, I guess. So he's going to transmit Morse code to the dad and hope the dad knows Morse code. Okay, Godspeed. The dad sends back that he's in the school basement and the kids should contact Godspeed, which is, like, I think the overarching superhero or custodian organization. Will they do that? That smart thing? I don't know why Godspeed doesn't already know about an entire town of superheroes being obliterated, but as they are watching, old Finch gets in view of one of the cameras, and he writes a message in lighter fluid in the grass for Philip, telling him it's time. And all the characters are like, oh shit, he knows about the cameras. And I'm like, yeah, probably. Time for what? Who knows? Even the main character was like, oh yeah, I thought he was just, like, kidding about making me one of his team or something. Finally, the kids come up with the idea that maybe Finch thinks our main character is the next Elbin. Even though I'm pretty sure that Finch has all but said that to our main character, but our main character's a little slow on the uptake. What happens with Finch if the main character doesn't come? Does Finch just destroy the city? The kids talked about how Finch is probably keeping prisoners so that he can use their powers, so, I mean, that makes sense, but does he eventually get rid of them? Like, does Finch even have a plan if Philip just says, F you, I'm not coming? Or if Philip sends, you know, the Godspeed, the other superheroes to go get Finch? I just don't get it. Fortunately for Finch, our main character is not gonna miss out on making bad choices, so he's gonna show up. And that's the end of that chapter. The next chapter is called Rescue Party, and it's probably gonna be a real party. Kids, we are back. I have been
putting out at this point in filming. I've been putting out the episodes that I have filmed, so we've got a few episodes out now. And just looking back, it's like, oh, we were so hopeful, so innocent back then, hoping for a beautiful story about disabled superheroes, and then receiving this. You could cut this down to at least a novella, possibly a short story, if you just cut out all of the faff. That's right, I said it. Chapter 28 is called Rescue Party. It's a rescue party! Who has the rescue chips and I'm getting the rescue drinks? I always end up blowing up the rescue balloons. I don't understand why there's any lips here. We first tried to follow my father's instructions. We called Godspeed, ... on the phone. Why is there any lips? Is it because modern kids don't know how to use phones? Wow, this is, poor planning, really. This superhero world is so poorly planned. They can't reach anyone at Godspeed because they are having their own super sim tonight. So no one is answering. Great. All the superheroes, all the main superheroes are busy LARPing and they can't come to the rescue right now. By the way, looking at the earlier episodes of this read-along, I mentioned early on that I was going to stop pointing out how just utterly repetitive and so wordy this writing is, and if anyone is wondering if it has improved as the book goes on, the answer is no. So the kids whisk themselves away to the cornfield. The cornfield is really becoming a character of its own in this story, and they have gone to the cornfield assuming that Finch will not look for them there. Our main character and Henry and James go on a scouting mission. Isn't Henry or James? I think it's Henry, the one who can see for our main character. So what use is he going on the mission? Why doesn't he just stay behind and look at a screen, as is his job, so our main character can see? I mean, I know I needs to go on scouting missions because when they get back, their friends have disappeared and our main character needs to be able to continue to see. Okay, this was not clear at all, because I assumed everybody teleported to the cornfield and then our main character and the three friends went to scout. But I guess they left the other people back at frickin' Central Park. And they track them down and find out they're being hauled into a police van. But it was not clear that the whole group hadn't gone to the cornfield. If you're writing a book with a lot of characters, it's a good idea to keep track of everybody. And if it's important, make it clear to the audience where they are. I always say audience instead of readers because I'm a theater nerd, so you know what I mean. I didn't even know that they had Freddy with them. Freddy is such a non-character. No idea he was here, but he's the one who can turn into a giant. But he has asthma, so when he turns into a giant, he can't breathe. But he was also put in the police van, and he just exploded the whole police van by turning giant. So hopefully he didn't kill any of the other kids by doing that, but so they teleport over and they grab everybody and they teleport back. All is well. The kid who turns giant, apparently his clothes don't turn giant with him, so all of the bystanders were subjected to naked teenage boy. Thanks for that mental image. And now, fortunately, Bentley has an extra pair of pants with him, because of course he does. So now the kids have decided that what they need to do is get to these emergency call buttons that are positioned around Freepoint that will call some other superheroes, like presumably ones who aren't currently LARPing. Which is fine and all, but like, why aren't there any superhero call buttons in Central Park? You'd think that would be a really great place to have a superhero call button. Like, even if it was secret, even if only superheroes knew about it. I'm sure Bentley could, like, look it up on his computer. I'm sure he's hacked all of the relevant things that need to be hacked to find the superhero call buttons. But whatever, we have to go back to town and we have to get to the superhero call buttons because that's the only way to get help. Because the superhero leadership is LARPing right now. Welcome to Horrifying Implications, the book. We're getting our call back to the very beginning of this story, where the principal wanted to use his big voice, and he had to ask for Chelsea to deactivate the school's no power zone. So the main character's like, I am going back to the school, and I'm going to find that guy
that Chelsea, presumably a guy, maybe a woman, we don't know, probably a guy, judging by how many women get to be in this book, and they're going to go and they're going to get him to deactivate Finch's powers. Because even though Finch puts out a null power zone himself, somehow another hero would be able to nullify that. Don't try to make sense out of this book. I should know better. Speaking of horrifying implications, it's definitely implying that the person who runs the school's NPZ is literally a prisoner who just lives under the school and just is there all the time in case the school needs people's superpowers shut off. Horrifying implications. The book! And of course, good old Jeremy Scott is trying to convince us that this is like a now or never kind of situation, like they might not come out alive, this could be it. And I'm like, so not convinced, I can't even tell you the level of not convinced that I am, that I should be worried about any of these people. I have red spits now. Red spits gotten paler, like I remember the cracker being more yellow when I was a kid, and now it's very white. These guys are so screwed. In a way, if you think about it, it's a lot like the original Ables, outnumbered and having to rely on our smarts, our ability to be more clever than the opponent. The main character also says there's no time for speeches and then promptly gives a speech. So it's good to know that he's here with his usual encouraging speeches. That is like the one character trait that he has. Dog. Really, right now? I'm sorry. The dog is making bad life choices. As usual, the characters are being super introspective, especially the main character, and being like, we don't have time for this, and then they still haven't left. This whole book is like, any second now, the characters are going to do something. Just wait 5 more chapters.
Wait for it!
Apparently, James's personality has always been that he's friendly and polite. I couldn't tell you if that's true, because James is such a non-person. Look, it's all well and good to want to have the main character doing things, especially since we're in his head. But it just seems silly to have the end-around way of our main character's the leader of the group, so he has to look around. When, to look around, he has to have another guy look at a screen. And they even remember to mention it here. Like, as soon as they get to their new location, Henry looks at the screen so our main character can look around. Why not just have Henry look around? Uh-oh. The first team who was trying to reach one of those emergency call buttons has found that the bad guys have disabled the emergency call button. What a shock. Well, Bentley's team is already in trouble. We think they've been discovered. They're like, we're in trouble, we can't use our powers because of Finch's null power zone. How the hell did our main character just teleport in right near Finch when his friends who are elsewhere in town can't use their powers? Also, our main character can see, thanks to the powers of the guy in the wheelchair next to him. So, like, how the fuck does this null power zone work? Yep, Bentley's team has been captured.
Everyone's been captured! I've been captured! Hey!
Now that our friends have been captured, the main character decides the best thing to do is to stand around with his team and just talk about how screwed they are. I cannot help but envision a perfect scenario, which will never happen. They're still going to try to get the null power zone over Finch, and their main character's like, if I have to, I'll take him down myself. No idea how he plans to do that, but I would like it to be that he just goes up to Finch and starts punching him, and is like, ha! You're getting beat up by a blind kid! How do you like that? The author also limited himself as far as the characters that can go along with the main character on his final mission. Obviously, eventually the main character is going to get separated by himself. That's like the oldest trope in the book, and you know that old Jeremy Scott's not going to be able to resist using it, but the characters that our main character has formed the biggest bond with, one of them is Bentley, and Bentley was not on this team. So he's with Chad, who we only recently added to the team, and Henry, who he just needs because he wants to be able to see. So it does feel a little bit empty, the people that he's with, and he's trying to have this like moment, like, okay, it's just us, we're going for it, you know, friends forever. With 2 people it barely feels like he has a relationship with. That's the end of that chapter. Chapter 29 is called Showdown, wherein there will probably be a showdown. Wow, it's really short. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to read chapter 29. It's really short. What's the next one called? I'm curious. The Real Plan is the next chapter, so great. I'm sure we can look forward to Showdown just being a really short chapter leading up to something interesting happening, which is this book's entire MO. They're going along. They're right near Finch. They're like inching by. There's cultists everywhere, moving real slow and real sneaky. And then Chad fucking trips over a rock and takes our main character down with him, and he loses contact with them, and it's just, and then he's visible. It's like, Chad, you are a terrible invisibility guy. Also, by the way, our author has clearly forgotten, and so did I for a minute, that Chad only has one arm, because he definitely puts a hand on each of their shoulders. And there's two people for him to put hands on. He has clearly also the power to regrow his limbs. Well, the bad guy just said, well, 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 which I feel like should be a ding. Henry forgot for a moment that he has only one job on this team, and that is to be Philip's eyes, because he dared to take his gaze away from the screen for a minute, so our main character couldn't see. Well, at least our hero's foolishness is coming back to bite them, because Finch totally hacked all of the cameras that Bentley left up all over the city, which allowed him to more easily attack. Did I ever mention also how much I hate not only Chosen Ones, but prophecies about those Chosen Ones? But because this dang book is like, let's steal everything from Harry Potter, we have a prophecy about a Chosen One. I am really interested, though, if old Scott is setting us up to subvert, and it won't actually be our main character who turns out to be the prophesied Chosen One. That would be an interesting take. It could easily go that he's not, because he has shown absolutely no signs of being this, like, special superhero. And normally you like to foreshadow just, like, a little bit. And if Philip isn't the Chosen One, which now it seems like maybe he's not going to be, because he's like, Finch, you made all of the parts of the prophecy happen yourself, and if you do that, then it's not a real prophecy. Finch disagrees. But, like, if our main character is not the Chosen One, why did Finch think that he was? I guess maybe he's, like, the great-grandson of the Chosen One, the previous one, I guess? But, like, why not our main character's dad? I don't know. He said, if old Finch says, can't you see, Philip? You're the one. It's all there. There's no one else alive that the text could be talking about at this point. Really? No one else on Earth that could fit a few of these categories? My dude, the only thing that Philip has going for him that makes him any more likely to be the Chosen One than anyone else is that I think, if I remember correctly, he's a grandkid of the last superhero, Uber guy. I'm very confused about the one who does all, which I've been calling the Uber hero because that's much shorter to say. But Philip is like, Finch, you need me to be that, because then you can use all of my powers with your Absorbaloft powers. But I thought that the thing about the Uber hero was that he used other people's powers, but he could absorb anybody's powers. I thought the lore in this is just confusing. Because our main character thinks that he's figured out that he's not the Chosen One, he started to just, like, be not afraid of the villain anymore and starting to mock him, and it's like, why are you doing that? This guy could still super kill you. He does grab the radio, and he is like, Chelsea, which I guess Bentley had already hacked into the school's frequency or some shit. I don't know. Don't ask questions, but it doesn't seem to have worked. Finch says, never go into battle without knowing something about your enemy's plans. Finch, what the fuck are your plans? Oh, we have a double cross. It seems like Chad may have been a spy the whole time. At least we know why the fuck he's here now. Oh, Chelsea was a girl, but don't worry. Lest there be a useful woman in this story, she's dead. Yep, Chad done double-crossed him, and Finch knew all their plans. Too bad I don't give a fuck about anybody, or I might be upset by this twist. And once again, the bad guy's like, join me, Luke. Join me or die, which doesn't make any sense, because if he thinks this kid is, like, the Chosen One, he shouldn't kill him. Defeats the purpose. And of course, the 12-year-old is like, I'd rather die than join you. I'm 12. Oh no, we have a triple cross. Oh, we've been bamboozled. You see, the main character figured out about Chad without telling us, the reader, that he'd done it. So now we can be like, oh snap. I just need to peek at the beginning of the next chapter, and they do remind us that our main characters have a mind reader on the team. So yeah, they would be on to Chad. However, you guys know that one of my least favorite things is when characters withhold from the reader when you are in that character's point of view. I don't care if it's for a twist. If the character has information that they're just not telling you, the reader, even though you are in their heads all the time, this is first person. I hated it in the last Hunger Games book as well, where all of a sudden we're not privy to Katniss's plan to do with Snow. I'm not going to spoil it, but like at the very end, so there's a twist, we're not told what she's thinking. And I absolutely hate that, so I hate it here too. But there you go. They were on to Chad the whole time. What's our next chapter called? The Real Plan. Yep. So they made us read all of those pages about their fake plan. They gave us no clue that the characters were on to Chad, even though we are in the main character's head all the time. I'm so mad they made me read all of that when that wasn't even the real plan. What the fuck, book? Jeremy Scott. If I ever meet you in real life, I am going to very subtly trip you. Just for this book. It's not gonna be aggressive, but I'm just gonna, as you walk by, I'm just gonna trip you, so.
Stop. Patron time. Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Lennox. I can guarantee that you have never heard a better group of patrons in your entire life. I know because they're my patrons, so I'm an expert on this. Now carry on with your day, citizens.
Wait for it.
I'd love to. Now it's your turn to wait for it.